Hey BBs, it's Plastic, and today I'm back with y'all for another video. Happy October 6th for every BB who's watching this in present time. The Minster High movie just came out. It's I think on Paramount Plus. It's like the live action one. It's felt like forever though since we first heard about this movie. Just because I think we heard about it in like February of 2021, and now it's finally coming out like 2022 October. So it's really really exciting to finally get, you know, all the Generation 3 stuff and soaking it in. But also hello to every BB in the future who's watching this. Let me know how everything rolls out with it. But today, to celebrate the Monster High movie coming out and all the previous Monster High movies, I really want to take time to kind of rank the movies, just because a lot of them, you know, they obviously sold the dolls behind me, but a lot of them just kind of, like, the lore was very comforting to a lot of people, and I think with the new generation, I think it's going to comfort a lot more people. So I just want to, you know, take time and reminiscent on the amazingness of what Monster High was. I'm also filming this video as if everyone's watched the movie, so I'm going to probably give out some spoiler alerts. I'm not going to describe them in depth, but get it. So the 15th spot, or like I think the worst movie in the franchise, is the reboot Welcome to Monster High. That movie was so beyond confusing. If you haven't watched it, it's kind of like Draculaura is like in this house, and she wants to create this school, and she teams up with Frankie, who she just met, and they create this school thing, and there's like lots of twists and turns with it. And my issue with this movie is that it was so boring. Like, I don't remember watching this. I watched it 2 weeks ago because I remember binging all the movies at once, and I wrote down like 3 notes, and maybe that's my fault. Maybe I should wrote down more. But I just remember like all of like the background characters were so ugly and boring. It reminded me of Hotel Transylvania in like not a cute way. It felt like they were like trying to copy it, and I didn't like that about it. Just because the background characters were like pets to me. They were like blobs rather than actual teenagers. And I just didn't think it was cute. Like, they had like the main 5 ghouls, Monica, and like some Mansters, and like Venus and Toralei were the background for some reason. Like, with their Generation 1 designs, which was already weird enough to see Generation 1 designs with new designs, like, they didn't mix at all. It was oil and water, really, really confusing and weird. And then, like the blobs, like, it was just, they felt so out of place. Like, if you're just gonna have everyone be like a pet, just make Draculaura a bat, like, do something different. It was just weird. I don't remember this movie. It was just boring. I watched it literally 2 weeks ago. No idea what's happening. Also, like, I remember there's like a social media thing with Draculaura. Like, she was like on a vlog, and I just want to say I hate when kids movies do the social media thing, because it's so boring and unoriginal every time. You're a vlogger. You're a social media influencer. You turn into a meme. It was just, we've seen it, done it. Next. 14th spot, though, is going to Electric. Again, I don't mean to rank the 2 reboot movies as worst, but like, they were just so boring to watch. Like, I think Electric is probably a little bit better, but it was just, like, weird. Okay, if you haven't watched it, like, the plot is, like, Monica wants to, like, take the power, all the electricity from the human world, but I don't know what happens with, like, she just wants to take it because they're scared of the dark, so weird motive. And then Claudine wants to make a salon because she's, like, a really good fashion designer, apparently. But, like, there's obviously some turns with that. And she wants, like, they want to merge the human world. So, like, doing the, like, monsters doing the hair will help them, which I think is a good idea. I think that's a really cute idea on itself. And I kind of wish we got that without Monica, because Monica's plot was so boring. Like, all she did, like, when she eventually got, like, the electricity, all she did with it was prank the humans, like, and I mean prank them, like, old school, like, throwing toilet paper on the house, eggs, and, like, flipping cars, and like, the lights were off. Like, you did all this work to get every electricity taken from the human world to throw toilet paper on someone's house. And it was also, like, there was also this plot with Frankie, like, they put all the electricity into Frankie's body, so then Frankie was really, like, jazzed up for the whole movie. And they were, like, zapping, they created life with the powers. There was this thing named Zap, and the Zap was the most annoying character. All it said was Zap, Zap, and it was fucking annoying. I hate that little character so beyond much. And it was, like, also, like, the doll form, the way that, like, they created Zap in, like, doll form was that they had Frankie hold their hand like this, and they just put a blob of plastic, and you couldn't remove it. So, Zap automatically is a negative 100 points. I hate that fucking character. It literally makes me so angry to think about Zap. But then they eventually saved the world with a billion Zaps, which I would kill myself. Bad, boring movie, nothing happening. Another boring, bad movie is actually from Generation 1. This is Monster High's Great Scary Reef, coming in at 13th spot. I want to like this movie. It's a Laguna-centered movie. Why would I not like this movie, right? Like, I should be enjoying a Laguna-centered movie, but there were so many issues with this movie. So first off, Laguna has a new voice actress, which threw me off completely, and I get it. You know, things change. People can't do everything. I don't care. I just wish once Laguna's actor, like, if they couldn't find someone with that, like, you know, bad Australian accent, don't put Laguna in it. Like, you've written Laguna out of, like, probably 10 other movies, but now you're gonna make her the main focus when she has a bad voice actress. Like, be fucking for real. And I'm not, like, no shade to the actual voice actress, because they're probably lovely, and the acting wasn't, like, awful or anything. It wasn't Laguna to me, and I'd rather you use that voice actress in a reboot. Like, I wish they just never made this movie and just made the Reboot dolls and, like, the series. Because this was also, like, a bad way to end Generation 1 movies, for, like, you know, in a way, because this was the last Generation 1 movie, but the point of this movie was Laguna had stage fright. She turned into a monster meme because Toralei was an idiot. And then they, like, got sucked in, like, Laguna's, like, old world, like, her where she grew up with, which I think was really cute. I liked seeing Laguna's family, and I think the diversity with that was really, really good. I wish we got more depth with that in Generation 1, because I feel like Laguna's family was brought up here and there, but never like this, and I really liked a lot of the characters and the storylines with that. I loved Kelpie, even though Kelpie's doll annoys the shit out of me, and she did have moments where she was boring and annoying. I think Kelpie was cute, and I like the idea of her having a little sister like that. I think it was really sweet. She's stuck in this old world. She has to, like, conquer her stage fright, but she meets, like, the new characters that they're trying to sell at the time, which is, like, Kala, Perry and Pearl. Posey, I think her name was. I don't own any of these dolls, and probably not for a long time. I don't like mermaid dolls like this because they're just chunks of plastic, and it's so uninspired to me. Like, the dolls themselves are just boring and hunks of plastic with, like, weird shirts on, so I was just not inspired by that at all. But then, so, like, she eventually conquers her fear, but she's dealt with, like, Kala, and her and Kala, they used to be friends, but then, like, they're not anymore because Laguna had, like, a really supportive family while Kala didn't, and the issue with that was, like, Kala just turned that jealousy into, like, anger with Laguna rather than, you know, her own issues. And I think that storyline was actually really good, to be honest. I think that the message of, you know, embracing your family, embracing where you came from is really, really important, and I think that I kind of wish Monster High did that more often. Because, you know, Kala was really embarrassed of her dad. He was, like, the Kraken, and, like, she couldn't bring him out anywhere. And I felt really bad for her. I obviously sympathized with her. I think she was, kind of well written a little bit. But, like, the way that they wrapped it up was really boring. This movie dragged on for, like, so long. Like, once, like, the end scene, so, like, the big plot moment was when Laguna and Kala were, like, gonna have a dance battle, essentially. And, Laguna froze up, as obviously, like, again, she's, like, that monster meme thing. And so she froze up, but then she went off stage, and then all her other friends were like, Laguna's brave, like, you should be clapping for her, da-da-da-da-da. And then, like, the audience was like, okay, like, yeah, like, okay, we were just booing you 2 seconds ago, but yeah, you're brave, work. And then Kala gets jealous, she unleashes the Kraken breaks Monster High for, like, 2 minutes. And then Laguna's like, but we accept everyone here. So Kala immediately forgets everything, and she's like, okay, never mind, and we're good. The movie was boring, and it just took forever to take, so... And even, like, I feel like if the dolls were better, I'd be able to excuse, like, the boring awkwardness of, like, the first parts of that movie, because when Laguna and Toralei were fighting, it was so awkward and boring. But if the dolls were good, I could excuse that a little bit more, but they were just bad dolls. And that's fine. We all have our misses, but that kind of turned into the flop era, and again, that was really a bad note to end Generation 1 on. The highlights of this movie, though, were Laguna's family and Toralei and Laguna. I like that ship. I don't think anyone really talks about the ship enough, as it should be. A couple of my friends do on Twitter, but that ship is so good. It's opposites attract, it's enemies to lovers, and I eat it up every time. Toraguna, I need that ship to happen in Generation 3, confirmed canonly. I think Laguna, I had canon her as, like, pansexual, and I had canon Toralei as lesbian. So I really like the idea of them being together, and again, like, the cat and fish thing is really fun to me. But rewatch that movie with the enemies to lovers trope in your brain, and you're gonna like that movie a lot more, because that was, like, the only, like, one of the seeding factors of me pulling through that, 1 hour and 15-minute movie. Boring. Jumping in at 12 spot, it makes you really sad to rank this movie so low because of the nostalgic attachment to the dolls and the playset in this movie. We have Freaky Fusion. This movie was, like, I rewatched it, and I was just, like, bored. We follow Frankie as Frankie's, like, you know, they have a Scaris project, and know anything about their Scaritage and family, because like again, I guess the Frankensteins wouldn't like tell them about anything about it, which is really confusing. But then we also meet these new characters. So like Frankie's like fails like the Scaritage project, but we meet these four new characters: Avia Trotter, Serena Von Boo, Nathan Rott, Bonita Femur. All these characters are so underrated in my opinion. I feel like they're hated so beyond much in the Monster High like fandom. They just like deserve a lot better, and I feel like they deserve every single love. Serena Von Boo is like one of my favorite characters of all time. I love that bitch. She is so cute and funny, and she's literally just like me. Like I feel like I'm always distracted by something, and I just feel that connection with her. So I really relate to that. But okay, so we meet the new ones. The new characters are hybrids, which I think is really good. The like kind of lore and message behind that is like the biracial kind of prejudice where the people are just telling them to pick a side. And I'm just happy that they kind of delved into that with Monster High. I think that messaging is very important. But I kind of wish they did it a little bit better, to be honest. I just think it was boring. Fused together, they're trying to figure out how to unfuse themselves, but they're also trying to figure out how to live with themselves, which they were really focused on how to, stay fused together, like how to like live with themselves, which is like a good message to, step in someone else's shoes, and you don't know what you're going through and whatever that tea may be, but like why weren't they freaking out? Like they freaked out for like 2 seconds and they're like, okay, like this is good, and like let's just like learn to live with each other. Like what? I would be freaking out. I would literally be screaming my head off trying to get my body back. But whatever. They were like a little bit weird about that. And then the fusions, like the new characters, help them, balance each other's lives out, which was nice. I think that was kind of cute. A lot of the designs, though, with the new fusion characters were kind of bad. I like them, but I know a lot of the fandom doesn't, which is kind of why I say that they're bad. They're not fan favorite dolls. Like, this is not a fan favorite movie or whatever, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I think the movie it definitely dragged on. I think it could have been 20 minutes shorter and we'd be fine. I also really hate the plot of Nathan x Frankie. I think that was done so lazily and boringly. I don't care. I just don't think that ship needed to happen. I think we could have went that movie without them dating and would have been fine. I don't think the progression with them wasn't good like it was with Jackson and Holt, and like all the other characters like Andy. I think that was a better ship. I did like the message, but with that movie I just thought it was bad. Next movie is for 11th spot, which is weird. There's not that many movies. We have New Girl at School, which the only reason I'm ranking this so low is just because of how it's like, isn't it like 20 minutes? It's like, it's in that 2D style. This is their first movie, so I'm gonna give them a little bit of, credit, and I'm not gonna push it down at last spot. But because I genuinely enjoyed this movie. This is a mix of nostalgia to me, to be honest, but this movie was so nostalgic. There was parts where it was just dramatic for no fucking reason. Like, this movie did not have to be as dramatic as it was. When something went Frankie's way wrong, they just cried. Like, literally, like, the montages with that were so fucking funny. So, I like taking it as, like, ironically, but it was kind of boring. But I like that Frankie was, like, kind of learning about themselves in this movie. We're meeting everyone. It's kind of got, obviously, like, an introduction to, like, the Monster High franchise. I think, like, the little intros to, like, the characters were cute. There were a couple iconic lines, though, in this movie. Like, Dracula was saying smooches. Cleo said, "Don't Cleo patronize me," which I thought was so silly and cute. There's not much to say about this movie. It was 20 minutes. I remember they had really good music. The plot kind of wrapped up kind of quickly, which was nice. And yeah, I don't know. I think it was like meeting, new people was cute. Fine. 10th spot that we have Scaris. When I tell you, Scaris, I like that it was only 40 minutes. I think a lot of the Monster High movies would benefit from only being like 40 minutes to an hour rather than an hour and 15 minutes. So I like that we kind of wrapped it up kind of nicely. And I love the new characters in this movie. This movie kind of centered on Claudine and her fashion design. I love that Claudine was a fashion designer, and I really hope that kind of gets brought back for Generation 3. I think that's a really cute, personality trait for Claudine, and we never really got that much dive into besides this movie. So that was really cute, and I like that we went to, like, the fashion camp, with Moni Telegostier, or whatever her name was, and I think that character deserves a doll so badly. But it was kind of like Monster High. It's like Devil Wears Prada, but like Monster High's kind of take on it. Meet Jennifer and Skelita in the movie, which I love those characters so much. I think they're some of the best movie characters, to be honest. Just like, I love the designs and everything. And I like that they're also fashion designers. I think that's really cute. Queen's like, doing her thing. She literally just she like loses her like motive though, and then she like wins. She wins the project. But then we find out that all you do when you win is get trapped in the little like dungeon, the catacombs. and Monetalia Ghostier just uses your credit, your work for her ideas and takes the credit. And we learn that because Rochelle has this like little subplot where she's like trying to find her like long lost French love, I think it is, yeah. And that was really cute. I love Rochelle so much, and it, like Garrett, I think his name was. That's the boy we're talking about. So they went on this like wild goose chase trying to find all these like little subtle hints from like his favorite places and everything, and then they somehow find him from like this like rose bush in like the sewer, and then it leads back to the catacombs where he's locked in there, and he's been there for I guess years since these letters stopped appearing to her. And that was cute. And then there's also a plot with Gulia losing her scooter, and she breaks a scooter, but then she gets money to buy a Scaris car, or she fixes up the Scaris car, which we got into the playset. Cute. There's also another plot with Toralei where she snuck into the suitcases and stuff, and she was just kind of bopping around Scaris and like being a bitch to everyone. So that was cool. But I actually like this movie a lot more than I give it credit. I think it's really fun. But then right now we're just like in 10th spot where like there's so many other movies that are just better than this. So that's kind of what I wrap it up for. There's also this like little like extra movie kind of thing where they have to find this like Claudine's notepad. And I didn't watch this. I had it on in the background, but I was so like after like the movie I was like done. Like at 9th spot that we are going into Monster High Frights Camera Action. This movie was fun. I don't care. I think this movie was silly and fun. Dracula focused lead, where we see a little bit more of her family, her backstory, where like Transylvania. So Dracula is kind of chosen to be like the new queen or whatever, but she's not really the queen. She's a figurehead. It was cute for her, but it was kind of sad because like she realized her self-worth, which I think was really important and like later in the movie. And then Voodoo was also here, which was really cool. I love to see Voodoo more. I think he's a really unique character that we don't see a lot of. So you know they're kind of bopping around, and then the thing with that is that we have to like go find like the queen's heart to figure out who the real queen is to save Draculaura, I guess, in like Transylvania or in the vampire stuff. So then we go on this big goose chase to find the heart, and we meet a lot of the characters on the way. Claudine's sister Claudia, who I love, Honey Swamp, who I love, Viperine, who I love, Elizabeth, who I love them all. I have kisses to every single new character in that movie. I love them. Like, all the designs are good. The dolls in, like, you know, the backstories and the actual dolls, like, in, like, you know, production were good. Elizabeth is one of my favorite dolls. I remember, like, hunting for that bitch forever, and I finally got her for, like, a good deal. Same with Viperine. Kisses to every single one of those bitches. I love them. Then we find the heart. Elizabeth had it, I think. Or no, it was, oh my god. It was in Rebecca was also there. It was in Rebecca's chest, because Hezekiah used the heart. Elizabeth gave the heart to him to give to her, and it was in her little chest thing. So, and, like, the whole thing was, like, really cute. How Rebecca, like, the whole time was like, it's so close to me, but I don't know where it is. And it was in her. Like, that gagged me. I was gagged. So I thought that was really cute. I like, again, more Rebecca kind of stuff was really fun. I think that movie was cute. I like the whole message of, you know, being yourself and not letting anyone control you and realizing your self-worth was also really important for a lot of kids. Okay, there's also the subplot with, like, this, like, Twilight kind of thing where it was, like, the two actors in this movie were, like, there's, like, these guy actors and, like, people were, like, fangirling over, you know, which is which and, like, who was hotter and whatever. But the gag with that is they were the same person the entire time, just, like, digitally, like, enhanced. And Gulia figured that out, and Gulia saved everyone's asses by telling them that Elizabeth was the same bitch as that movie star. So the gag is Gulia saved everyone yet again. No one gave her credit. She literally figured out that they were the same person through AI or whatever. And I don't want to hear any more Gulia slander, because in this next movie, 8th spot in this next movie, Gulia also saved everyone's asses, because this is Boo York, bitch. Boo York was a movie that I also felt dragged on a lot. I think 20 minutes less of that movie would have been good. The thing that saved this movie, though, is that music and the Caddy Noir. We follow Caddy Noir and Cleo Denial in this movie. Two amazing characters with lots of depth. I was so excited to kind of see more of them. I love Caddy Noir so much. Like, you don't understand how much I love that bitch. But I'm also happy that we got more in depth with Cleo's family and her kind of tea. So there's, like, this thing where Cleo has to go to New York to, like, figure out something with her. I don't remember what it was, to be honest. Maybe, I think they were trying to meet, like, the Pharaoh, but we didn't know his name was Pharaoh yet. It was like a family meeting thing. She took Deuce with her, Operetta for some reason. Operetta added nothing to the plot. Caddy Noir, Draculaura, I think that, and Frankie. And we got their dolls, you know, obviously. Those dolls are some of the worst Monster High Generation 1 dolls, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And I still don't understand why we added, like, half the characters we need. Like, I know, like, why they were there. Like, Dracula has to be in every movie because she's a fan favorite. Claudine, too. But it was so boring to have opera. Like, they just added nothing to the plot. They were just kind of there, bopping around, which is fine for them. It just, like, kind of annoyed me. And, like, the ending of the movie, I'm like, what are y'all doing here? Like, you have a doll, and you did nothing to contribute to the plot. We also met new characters like Mercedes, LED, Luna Matthews, which I think they're fine. They're cute. Nothing crazy happening with them. We also met Pharaoh, but Pharaoh never got a doll, so I don't really think about him enough. So, okay, we're now at the city. We meet all these characters. The tea is Nephra is trying to split up Cleo and Deuce because there's this Pharaoh guy. I don't remember his actual name, but I know he's Pharaoh. He turns out to be Pharaoh. And the tea with that is Cleo's trying to break them up because they want Cleo and him to date and then get married and promise to each other. They don't actually call it marriage. They just call it promising themselves to each other because they're like 16, 15 years old, which is fine. And no one's going to get married that young. So they promise themselves to each other, and then, like, it's a musical, so they sing a bunch. And then Nephra gets in Deuce's head, and she makes them break up because he's like, Deuce, you're not good enough, blah, 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 blah. And it makes me really sad because I love Cleo and Deuce. I think that's a really good ship. So that whole plot made me a little bit sad, but then Cleo's like, okay, fuck you. I'm my own person. I'm going to date Pharaoh and get all the power because that's what the people want. But then the other gag is Caddy and Pharaoh are also secretly dating, like, on their own. They're not dating, but they're talking, like, you know, they're friends. And they're, like, singing to each other and all that romantic shit. They, like, escape. And then, so, like, okay. But then at the end, like, right before they're about to promise, Pharaoh's like, no, I don't want to marry you. Bye. I want to be with Caddy, and I want to be a rapper now. But then Cleo gets the idea to steal Caddy and Pharaoh's voices, also stealing all of their motives and, you know, happiness in their life. So she steals that, runs around, gives it to Toralei for some reason. They follow Toralei to get that back. And then they promise themselves to each other. But right before they promise each other, Deuce is like, hey, bitch, we're back. Here's Caddy's voice. Here's Pharaoh's voice. Cleo, let's be babies again together. Word. And then also while this is happening, Astronova, you know, that, like, purple alien bitch, she's coming down on this, like, rocket thing. And Gulia figures it out. She saves them again because it's Gulia. She always saves everyone's asses. So she stops the comet from happening, like, waking it up to music, which is cute because it's a musical. And that was a really bad description, but I think that movie was fine. Again, it dragged on for a very long time. Moving on to 7th spot, we do have Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love. This was Monster High's first CGI movie. We kind of follow Draculaura again, and a little bit about her backstory, but more about her past love for one of her exes, Valentine, how, you know, it's also Draculaura's birthday, so keep in mind it's her sweet 1600th. The ghouls are trying to plan a party, but then Valentine comes because Toralei's a bitch again, and he comes. He's like gonna try to steal her heart because he's this, like, collection of broken hearts that he likes to, like, fill. And then Draculaura's, like, the biggest heart, so he tries to fill that one. And then with that, you know, we have this, like, thing where, like, Draculaura starts falling for him, and then he puts, like, a love potion on her, which is so bad because, like, Claude is his, like, that is, like, they're, like, a meant to be couple. Like, I love them together. So, like, that's kind of weird. Like, she just, like, breaks up with Claude to be with Valentine, even though she's under a spell. It's a little bit sad because even before that spell, she was, like, low-key, like, you know, spending time with him, which I, like, you're doing that on your own accord, bitch. And I get it, like, being, you know, making up with old friends and shit, but, like, it was just weird. Because Claude was trying his literal hardest to make her happy. He literally got her this whole box of memories. He got her this necklace. He got her practical shit. And she was not taking it at all. She wouldn't be like, oh, thank you. Like, no. She was literally, like, upset the entire movie. Okay, so then she's in a love potion. And then they try to contact Cupid, who's, like, you know, the love genius. And to helping them, you know, fix Draculaura. But then she fucks it up somehow, and she literally, like, puts this, like, the arrow thing on her and Claude. So they're in love. Oh, okay, Draculaura and Valentine are at this party now. It's, like, the end scene, kind of. Somehow Toralei got the bow or whatever, and she's going ever crazy with it. I don't know how Frankie got the bow with, like, you know, they took their hand off, and, like, they threw the hand, and, like, they got the bow back. And then they broke the bow, and all the potions, you know, were gone. But Draculaura was still under the separate spell that Valentine gave her. And Claude, you know, to unbreak the spell, he gave her the box of memories, which we saw in the beginning of the movie. And I thought it was really cute. It shows, like, you don't need money and, like, material things to, like, love each other. and it kind of shows like memories and like time with each other is more important than anything else. Again, I like the end result with Claude and Draculaura happy again. I think I just like them together a lot, and it was just really happy to see this. It's a very early Monster High movie to me, in a good way. It's like, you know, when we're still starting to see new characters here and there. It was just really exciting, and they didn't have this like. I think like the formula was just so different from a lot of the other movies that we saw, because there was new characters, but they weren't like forced. Like a lot of like I think Scaris and like a Great Serial Reef and like 13 Wishes, like some of the older, like, you know, the more middle movies, they were trying to force all these new characters by like come to Monster High, we're all accepting, which is really cute and like a loving, but it just got like over redundant at a point. So this was really exciting to kind of see it, you know, different. Sixth spot though, we do have Monster High's Fright On. This was another 2D movie, very early. I think it was around 40-ish minutes. To be honest, I like the 2D animation a lot better than I like the 3D animation. I just think it looks prettier. So that's like a personal bias, but this is a 2D movie. The heavier themes in this movie was like sibling fighting, and then the systematic racism, which I think is a really good point to kind of bring up in Monster High, because it was like the werewolves and the vampires beefing from like centuries ago, but the issues continue to just arise with the systematic racism. So I thought it was really cool that we were able to kind of take that and like learn from it and like grow, because I don't know, it was just a really well done movie in my opinion. Um, it was really nice. I like to see the growth with them, and I like to see how symbolic it was that we kind of, were able to grow and be better than ancestors. We kind of dealt with this like sibling fighting theme where Claudine and Howleen were constantly fighting. They're using each other's stuff. They're just beefing, and in the end, we figured out that they loved each other again, and they ended on a really nice term. But this movie was like very short, so there's not much to say about it. But it was so good. It was really well written. I liked all the lore, and I just love how the ending was kind of wrapping it up, and I like that we kind of realized both sides of the werewolves and vampires realized that they shouldn't be fighting each other. They should be fighting the man who came in, who was just like creating beef for no reason. Like, I think that was a really good message, and I think that needs to kind of, be brought up. I hope that we get something like that for Generation 3. I think it's just really cool. Moving on to our top 5, though, get excited. We have Monster High's Haunted movie. This movie was really fun. This is one of their later movies, so the later movies were very hit or miss, to be honest, and this one hit. In Haunted, we follow Spectra. We get sucked back into the ghost world because someone's haunting Draculaura. We find out that it's later Kaomi, who's one of the new characters, and with that, we kind of try to figure out what's happening. But in the middle of trying to figure out the hauntings, we figure out that, like, the ghost world is in shambles. There's this, like, red lady, I think her name was, and she had everyone in her, like, chains. They're called detention chains, but they're really her burdens that she's passing on to them. Which I thought was really, like, that was, like, something we never, like, delved in with, like, the kids' media, like, putting on your blame on someone else, and then realizing that that won't fix anything, because in the end of the movie, the change just went back to her. So I love that, like, progression of, putting your problems on someone else isn't going to help you. It's just going to make it worse, and it honestly gave her, I think, more chains in the end. And then with that, she kind of, self-realized that she was better than that. That was a really quick, like, summary of that, but that movie was good. I liked the Porter X Spectra thing. I loved all the new characters as well. I think all the designs are very cohesive. Vanilla de Blooms, Kaomi Huntingling, River Styx, and then Portergeist. They were very cool. I loved all their motives. I liked River's bubbly personality. I wish we got more of her in the series. We didn't really get much of her. She kind of popped up in this movie like 3 or 4 lines, maybe, if that. And that was kind of it. She was really fun and cute, though. I really liked it. We also saw Twyla again in this movie, which I love Twyla. Twyla had some of the best humor in this movie. Her humor is literally like just a very dry humor, and I loved it so much. I thought it was really fun. We also saw Rochelle kind of face her fears, because in the beginning of the movie, she really wanted to swim and everything, and she wanted to be free, and she wanted to know what it felt like to be not heavy. And to see her as a ghost, to be, kind of relish in that, was really nice to kind of see a different side of her. And I was really happy that we saw that depth with Rochelle, because we never really got much with her character besides Scaris. One of the motives behind this movie made sense, and I think it was just well written and well done, and I applaud it. Very good. For the 4th spot, though, we have Friday Night Frights, which feels weird to have this movie so low, because it was so good. This movie kind of delves into the more sexism in sports kind of issue, and we follow, I think, Laguna and Rebecca and Rochelle. He got an introduction to Rochelle here too, about, being able to play in any sport just not being discriminated against because you're a girl. I think this is such an important theme to tackle in a kids movie and media, because we really don't see that much. That like it's just really nice. The boys are very dramatic though in this movie, and it kind of put me off to a lot of them. I think they were just really annoying and misogynistic, and even the ones at Monster High. And Monster High is obviously, you know, the place where everyone's accepted. To see them being bitches, like, and cunts to the girls was really not cute to me. So I was happy that they kind of, at the end, figured out that, like, okay, being mean to them isn't going to help us because we literally were losing. And the school's in shambles because the boys lost and stuff. I don't know. The motives behind that was kind of stupid, like the crest thing. Boring. Scene that I put specifically in my notes at 21.00. Like, that is, and I think Cleo's like leaving like the team or something. And I just remember cackling. I had to pause the movie for like 5 minutes, just cackling. The way she left was so funny. So if you're ever watching that movie, go to the 21. Literally, that's it. The timestamp. And have yourself a good laugh. I think I watched this like really late at night, so maybe that's why I was laughing so much. But it was just really funny. And I did like you know, there was also this kind of theme about, you know, breaking old traditions, which is really, really important, I think, especially for this day and age, to not stand by traditions set hundreds of years ago, because we're better than that. Where society is progressing far further than hundreds and 200 years ago. So that was really cool to kind of delve into that, especially in kids media. And like, even though it wasn't like directed stated like that, it was like done in a way that it resonated with kids, and I think that's really important. But the movie is really good. I like all of the new outfits. The dolls are really cute as well. I don't know. I just think it was a really done movie. Like, I was entertained the entire time watching this. I didn't feel like it dragged on. I didn't feel like I was bored watching it. I didn't feel like I had to go on my phone while watching it. I was just enjoying it. It made me really like love Monster High. I remember watching that movie and just feeling like so in tune back with Monster High. So that was really, really cool. And like this time, like they didn't really make that many like media for this. Like they made like the dolls, but they didn't make a big playset. They didn't make deluxe dolls. They were literally just budget dolls that they made this movie for, which I think was really cool, especially for lower income families and stuff. Because I remember loving the budget dolls. I think they were really nice. But moving on to our top 3 spot, we have 13 Wishes. This movie was so good to watch. Again, probably ranked a little bit too low, to be honest. I think this is like just top tier. Top tier, that's why it's top 3. It was so interesting to watch. Follow Halloween as she finds this lamp. And the lamp is Gigi and her, we don't know this at the time, but her like sister Wisp. I think that was really cool to kind of see Halloween transition from like using her wishes for other people to slowly becoming an issue for everyone, slowly becoming like literally a bad person. And I think it's really interesting to see the theme of greed can really take over someone's lives and their motives. And to see Howleen at the end turn to a completely different person from the beginning was really nice in both ways. And like when she was turning into like a shadow ghoul or whatever, it was really interesting to see how her motives changed from the beginning, and also how to see how overall at the end when she became, you know, herself again, how those motives changed and how she became a better person than she was before, even though she was a better person in the beginning. I like that she kind of stopped caring about popularity, and she, in the end, she like realized that siblings fighting with them isn't important to her, and that family comes first and friends come first. We also meet a lot of new characters in this movie. We meet Twyla, which I love Twyla. I think Twyla is one of the best characters as well. We meet Gigi and Wisps, like I just said before. And it was really cool. Again, the summary was awful. Please just watch the movie. But like the whole thing was like during Halloween slowly becoming more selfish. We have subplots with one of the more prominent subplots was Laguna. She turned herself and she wished to be, or she didn't wish to be it, but we have the whole thing with her and Gil still being a mess of a couple. Boring. I don't care that they're fighting. I don't like them together at all. But Howleen was like, make Laguna change so Gil's family likes her, and she changes into a saltwater ghoul rather than freshwater. I think she's freshwater now, right? Rather than seawater, saltwater. I don't know. But she's a new ghoul. She's freshwater, I think now, and she completely changes her whole design. She slowly becomes more crazier and obsessive over Gil, and we learn through that movie and those motives that changing yourself to fit someone else is not good for anyone, because even Gil didn't like her, which thank fucking God someone didn't like that freshwater Laguna, because she was acting crazy. She was literally babysitting him. It was weird. But I'm just happy. Like, I don't love why she was created, but I love that doll. To be honest with you, I think that doll is amazing and stunning. But I am happy that we were able to move on from that, and that was nice. Another subplot was kind of Claudine and Howleen fighting. They're always fighting in this series, but They were fighting over, the power thing, and Claudine had really good intentions to try to protect her, but Halloween didn't realize that, because, you're not going to listen to your big sister. Bye. Boring. But I like that they kind of mended that relationship in the end. So another subplot was Abby was trying to become the president of Minster High to try to make things better, but she slowly started making things worse to other ghouls around her, but she thought it was all good changes. I love Abby's plots every movie. They're always so funny, because Abby's humor is so funny to me. I just think she's so cute and, like, charming. The overall theme of, not being greedy and trying not to see things as they are and trying to not look at someone else's life and be that, because in the end, Howleen was not good popular. Howleen does not deserve to hate herself because of something that isn't obtainable, and this shouldn't be attainable. Realizing that popularity is not worth it. Being yourself is far more important than trying to fit in with other people. That your real friends are what matters the most to you, and you shouldn't try to take that for granted. And just being accepted into other, people's lives is kind of Monster High's core message and theming. So I think that was really cool to kind of tie that back. I just think the movie was so visually interesting to watch as well. A lot of the different, like, visuals that we kind of got at the ending were really good. The Casbah designs were really nice as well. I do really wish, again, we had the the Haunt the Casbah Cleo doll. I think that would have been a really good doll to sell. But overall, really, really good. I love that movie so beyond much. Second, in our top spot, we have probably something that should be a little bit lower, but for nostalgia reasons, it's going to be at top spot. We have Skull Shores, Escape from Skull Shores. This movie was done so well. Again, it was early Monster High, where we kind of have that magic of new characters. We have the magic of, everything being kind of new. This was, I think, the second CGI movie, so it was, again, still kind of newer in that lineup. But it would focus on Laguna. It was spring break. We're trying to travel to meet Laguna's family, but there's a Kraken that kind of breaks down the ship. Call his dad, potentially, maybe, a foreshadowing. And so, the issue is that we're not able to go to Skull Shores. We're stranded on a boat. This new guy, I don't remember his name, to be honest. There's this new guy and his little assistant Kipling. They kind of took the ghouls in, but they were trying to make money off them, which, what are we going to do with them? I don't know, were they going to, kill them and, chop them up and, feed them to something? I don't know what the point of that was, but he's trying to make money off them as, a freak show, maybe. Because, they're different. And then he takes his, detour to Skull Shores, where there's this whole tiki thing, and they try to trap Frankie, and there's this Andy guy. This movie made me realize how Laguna was really the only smart one in this movie, because she was the only one who questioned why they're at this random island and why they weren't getting back to their parents. She was the only one who wasn't eating up by this weird Frankie story thing. She was the only smart one. And then when she got kidnapped by the man thing, because she figured it out, Gil left her. Gil was I don't care that he came back and saved them. Why would he leave her like that? That was, so weird to me. And I get it a little bit, but Gil being a bad boyfriend is nothing surprising, nothing new to a Monster High movie, but just continually disappointing me that this man is still in the Monster High existence of things. Plot with Frankie, being, trapped by Andy, Andy, grabbing Frankie and running around. That was so exciting to watch. Being able, being gagged by, the excitement and the adrenaline of, I don't know the word, but, that was, ooh, what's gonna happen? Is Frankie gonna stay alive or not? We obviously know he's gonna stay alive, but, you know what I mean? I just think that movie was just well, done. The designs for all the characters and the dolls and the design were also very, very done so excellently. We don't talk about enough the Skull Shores dolls and the impact, the way that they did those dolls, the 60s kind of swimsuit aesthetic, blows my mind to the day that they're not considered the best. People are Gloom Beach is better than Skull Shores. Bye, they're not. I am a avid Skull Shores super fan, but I don't think I can put it at number one, because number one, we have the best Monster High movie in existence. I don't want to hear any sort of disagreement in the comments. I don't care. We have Ghouls Rule. I sort of say Skull Shores. Skull Shores was another one of those earlier Monster High movies that did everything right. So the point of this movie was that it's Halloween time. It's Frankie's first Halloween. They're being told that Halloween's a scary time for the monsters because the humans are going to attack them and everything, which is fair. Everyone was thinking Frankie was crazy, which fuck you, because Frankie was valid to be scared of these humans because all they know is that they're going to attack them. So Frankie's trying to mend the relationships with the humans by discovering the origins of Halloween. With that, it's a time to celebrate both humans and monsters and coming together with that and dressing up and honoring each other. but no one cared. Like, no one cared that Frankie discovered everything. They just wanted to revolt, which is fine. But then they had Holt there for some reason, because they, like, wanted him to be, like, a crazy bitch. And Holt just ruined it. No, actually, Holt didn't do it. Holt was set up. I forgot about that. But Holt was a little bit crazy. He, like, ran around in front of everyone, so, like, he got caught earlier, which was really unfair. And Holt was the one who eventually got caught and, you know, thrown into prison, which was really interesting kind of see how that message and that, like, that concept of, you know, unfairly being thrown into prison and accused and then being put on a death sentence, how important that is, that happens in real life. That isn't just like a Monster High theme movie. Like, this happens in real life, that people are accused of things and, you know, thrown into something, and there's narratives written about them, and people prosecute them in ways that's not fair. It heavily talks about the importance of not having a death penalty. While I know it's a kids movie, in my eyes, in my interpretation of this movie, it shows how the world isn't one-sided, and that the death penalty should really not exist. And I think that's really cool to do in a kids movie, even though it's subtle and it's not, you know, like, thrown out to you in that way. I think interpreting this movie was very, very important. I just think the entire message of police brutality and, you know, trying to stop that and not allowing police brutality to continue to happen is so important. Continuing not hating people because of stuff ancestors did and stuff that systematically was done to other people is not important, and it's not what should make the world continue to spin. I just think the messaging in this movie was so beyond important, and I think we need to have this movie done again in Generation 3 just so another generation can watch it. It's so much more prevalent now, especially in this era of everything. I just think it was done so perfectly well. It was very entertaining to watch as well, just, like, you know, from an entertainment point of view, besides, like, the message. It was so good to watch. I loved all the character designs, like the new doll designs and the new kind of normie characters. I wish we got Melody. What's her name? No, her name, Melody's the one from the Lisa Harrington book. Harp, I don't remember her name. The emo bitch. She was really interesting. I loved her. And I like Chad. He was cute and fun. A lot of inspiration, I think, in my opinion, from the Lisa Harrington book, where Frankie is trying to mend the human world and the monster world, and it kind of backfires for them, but again, they kind of figured out eventually. Again, but this book is a really good read. If you don't want to watch the movies, but you want to get into Monster High, this book, it's more teen focused in my opinion. It's not like, you know, it's a book. It's like a nice book, but it's not like too childish, but it is. And it's just, this movie and this book, they are very similar to me in my opinion. And they're just both done so well. The story of acceptance and merging worlds is so important to me. And it was just done so well. And I also love the kind of aspect of, you know, the Halloween-y kind of movies. I feel like we didn't get enough Halloween movies for Monster High, but it was just done so beyond well. And the era of Monster High during that time, where they're trying to sell the Ghouls Rule dolls behind me, and then that playset, the school playset. What a time to be alive. Like, reliving that while watching that movie again was so refreshing, and it felt like a blast from the past, and it was just really nice. The movie's, again, nostalgic to me, but it's also just very good. Like, rewatching it as more of an adult, I mean, not an adult, I mean, 17, but you know what I mean. Rewatching that in this time is just so nice. It's just so prevalent to everyone's time, but that, I think, wraps it up. I'm sorry if the summaries in this movie were all over the place, and I was just kind of rambling about Monster High. I love Monster High so much. I've always loved Monster High, and it's just really exciting to kind of see them being brought back to the unlife in this new generation, and being able to celebrate the old generation along with the new one at the same time is really exciting to me. I'm so excited to watch the actual cut, because I may or might not have watched a movie similar to the Monster High live action movie through a director's cut, but that's here or there. That's not confirmed or anything. I'm not, like, illegally blinding by that, but watching that movie in like seeing the storyline of the new Monster High movie and, like, what it was about is so good. It's also really good for the time period. I think the new message of Monster High overall of being accepted and, you know, not allowing to get trampled over and just make sure every voice is heard is so important, especially in this time and day, in this era of 2022. It's more prevalent than it was in 2010, and it's just very exciting. It's gonna resonate with a lot of kids and a lot of collectors. I'm just so excited to see the future of Monster High. But let me know in the comments below what your favorite Monster High movie is and what your least favorite Monster High movie, and if you're excited about this movie, if you're gonna watch it or not. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching with me and creeping out and rambling with me. Super fun. I love you guys so very much. Cannot wait to see you on the next one. Okay, bye.